So Maga just keeps getting more and more upset with comedian Bill Burr, and it's one of the funniest things that I've ever seen. If there's any silver lining in this dark cloud that now hangs over us, it's been watching Bill Burr roast Elon Musk and watching rednecks in my part of the world get so upset about it. And if you go over to the dumpster fire that is Twitter and start scrolling down, they're absolutely losing their minds because Bill Burr went on The View. I can't show none of those clips for copyright reasons, but Bill Burr went on The View and he joked with the women on The View, and they had a good conversation. And Maga was sitting back mad because they thought Bill Burr was going to go on there and just talk down and punch down to them, and that's not what happened at all. And the reason why they're really upset with him, if you want to know the truth, is it's because they've never been able to read the room, and they've always lacked basic understanding. They don't understand comedy, they don't understand satire, they don't understand dark humor. So when they heard Bill Burr making his jokes about women and making his jokes about, the women's rights movement and things of that nature, when they saw him making those jokes, they repeated those jokes because they used them to punch down. They didn't realize that Bill Burr is actually married to a black woman and he respects the women in his life, and that the jokes he makes on stage are just that, they're jokes. That's why when he went on The View, you heard the ladies saying, "You're one of our favorite comedians. You're one of the funniest people out there." It's because they understand that Bill Burr is making a joke. They also understand that what people are posting on Twitter and putting out on social media for the world to see isn't a joke, but a true reflection of their real character. And that's basically what this all boils down to. When MAGA hears a comedian and they hear that comedian make a joke about us, they automatically use that and they use it to punch down at us or anyone they disagree with. And then they get butthurt and offended when that comedian flips the script and goes after them, and they don't realize that, hey, if he's going to roast us, he's probably going to get you too. And if you're getting upset over him getting you too, then how the hell can you get off calling us snowflakes and saying we can't take a joke? The very people who wants to talk about how we don't have a sense of humor and that we want to cancel everybody now does not have a sense of humor at all when it comes to Bill Burr, and they want to see him get canceled. That's the hypocrisy of them, but that's because when they say these things about women, they mean it. When they say these things about the gay and trans community, they mean it. When they punch down at people of color, they mean it. When they go out there and they do these awkward hand gestures that the rest of us calls a Nazi salute, they meant it. That's the type of ideology they've aligned themselves with. That is the type of ideology that Elon Musk bought Twitter just so he could give those people the microphone. And when they say that stuff, they mean it. Bill Burr's jokes over the years have been just that. They've been jokes. And the audience realized what kind of person Bill Burr is in real life. They realize he's a good dude that's making jokes because he's a comedian, and people weren't upset. And he wasn't using his comedy to punch down. So them being angry with Bill Burr just shows their ignorance. To me, it really just shows their absolute ignorance on everything. And I can't count the times, too, that people like that have sat and listened to bands for 20 years, and then suddenly they get mad at Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine because he said something against Trump. And I'm like, did you not realize the machine they were raging against? Did you miss that meeting? You really thought Neil Young wrote "Rockin' in a Free World" for your redneck ass? You really thought he was talking about you? You thought you could use that as your theme song? How many times have we seen artists send these Republican politicians cease and desist letters because, hey, that wasn't Born in the USA, wasn't written for you. That's not what it was about. You completely missed it. You completely did not understand it. My favorite band of all time is Drive-By Truckers. Love them to death. They've always been, Leonard Skinner was my original first band, and then the Drive-By Truckers came along. So my Mount Rushmore really quick is Leonard Skinner, Allman Brothers, Drive-By Truckers, the Rolling Stones. That's it for me. And the Truckers, from the very first album, I knew where they stood politically. I got it right out of the gate. When I heard the song Demonic Possession, and he talked about hell filling up with Republicans, I went, yeah, I kind of get this. And when I heard songs like Uncle Frank, which if you've never heard this music, go out of your way to find it. When I heard these songs, I automatically just realized where they stood. And then years later, when they started saying it more out loud and coming out front with it, suddenly, hey, I wish they quit talking politics. And I'm like, you didn't listen to Southern Rock Opera? You missed that? I guess all you saw was the word Southern Rock in there. You didn't actually listen to the song Ronnie and Neil close enough. You didn't actually listen to Wallace. You didn't actually listen to the duality of the Southern thing. You sure as hell didn't listen to nothing on the Dirty South. How did you miss that meeting? And they're doing the same thing now with Bill Burr. They've completely missed the meeting on him. And it's because they loved his jokes when they could use his jokes as a weapon. But when suddenly he flipped it and started talking about their daddy Elon Musk and their daddy Trump, they immediately lost their minds. And it's so funny to me watching people go to bat for Elon and get so offended and hurt over Elon's feelings, and they can't find the humor in Bill Burr anymore. I think it's hilarious that he's roasting Elon Musk. That's who a comedian should be roasting. That's who he should be punching up at. How many times have I said here on the channel, we don't need to punch down at marginalized groups and make fun and belittle them. We need to punch up at the top to the people who are really making our lives miserable. And when he calls Elon a nerd, when he comes right out and says he's a nerd, and look at what we got for ignoring the nerds, now it's the revenge of the nerds. I mean, it's so true. There's a lot of truth to that comedy. And I just want to say this, I have no sympathy for billionaires, and I'm not going to sit and root for one. I'm not that stupid to think that a billionaire loves me or cares about me or has my best interests at heart. And I think anyone that thinks that should be mocked and ridiculed for thinking that, because it's absolutely absurd that you would ever look to an Elon Musk or a Donald Trump and think that they have your best interest at heart. And you look at Elon and out of all the stuff he's did, here's the kicker with all this. This is really where it all comes down to. If Bill Burr was out here punching down at people and praising Elon, he'd be the king of Twitter. He'd be all over it. If Bill Burr was constantly if all of his comedies stayed strictly aimed at the left, they would love him. It's just because he aimed it back at them and they couldn't take it. And they couldn't take it because they couldn't stand to hear the truth come back at them. I'll be brutally honest with you. I understand Bill Burr's comedy, and if Bill Burr ever roasted Tennessee Brando, I would find it as one of the highest honors of all time. I would be like, yes. But you know what? If he roasted me, he would find a joking way to do it. He would find a way to do it within his brand of comedy. He would be roasting me for whatever he wanted to roast me for, but it wouldn't be because I did a Nazi salute. It wouldn't be because I was out here as a billionaire throwing my wealth around and throwing my racism around and throwing my bigotry and my homophobia and transphobia around. When he roasts Elon, he's roasting him for all the right reasons. When he roasts other people, it's a joke, and people can tell the difference. And the reason why that Maga is having such a hard time taking these jokes that Bill Burr's dishing out on Elon is because Elon, it's not that they have anything in common with him because he's a billionaire. They have in common with him because of the company he keeps. What they have in common with Elon Musk is the company he keeps, the people he gives the microphone to. And they view him giving that microphone to them as a win and a victory. And it should always be shouted down, whether it's shouted down in comedy, shouted down in music, or shouted down by some hillbilly sitting in a lawn chair with a YouTube channel. That type of rhetoric should always be ridiculed, mocked, and shouted down for what it is. But that's why they're upset with Bill Burr. It's not that they got a lot in common with Elon Musk. They have nothing in common with him wealth-wise. Right now, as people are boycotting Teslas, the sad part is the people I know that loves him the most can't even go out and support him. They can't even afford a Tesla. They can't even go buy one. They still can't afford eggs either. And they're not going to be going to none of Bill Burr's specials. They're not going to be watching that new one on Hulu, which, by the way, I haven't got around to watching yet. But they're not going to sit and watch that because they can't take it, because he'll hurt their feelings. And they're the very people that came out with flags that said, fuck your feelings. They're the very people that called us snowflakes. So I find it absolutely hilarious to watch them sit back and get so upset at Bill Burr. And when I see Bill Burr making jokes about people like me, I know they're jokes. And what he's finding humorous about me is one thing. But what he's pointing out about them is another. And that's what's really hurting them in their feels the most.